Hello and welcome to the news at 7 on NTA International. We are streaming live on Vision TV 24/7 and other social media platforms displayed on your screen. I'm Lami Ali. And my sign language interpreter is Courage Ogeriahi. Let's take the headlines. President Bola Tinubu meets with service chiefs and heads of security agencies. Business and political elites at World Economic Forum raise concerns over geopolitical tension. Plus, security agencies intercept vessel with stolen condensate in Delta State. We begin from the Federal Capital Territory, where the Minister, Nyesom Wike, has assured residents of the territory of their safety as the administration, in collaboration with security agencies, are on top of the situation. The Minister gave this assurance during the emergency security meeting in Abuja. Onoze Yakubu has the details.
We are not sleeping. I'm very much aware of the security challenges in the territory. These were the words of the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike while briefing the media before the commencement of the emergency security meeting with heads of security agencies and area council chairmen held behind closed doors. The minister discloses that they owe it a duty to make the nation's capital safe and secured.
I'm aware that sometimes too the press overblow what is happening. But all of us are concerned as the Federal Capital Territory that has virtually every Nigerian. We owe a duty to make sure that this place is safe. We'll do all we can, and we're sure Nigerians who reside here that there's no need for panic. It's just for you to know that we are not sleeping. Security agencies are also not sleeping. We provide every support that they require.
Nyesom Wike also made it known that he will not be happy to receive the news of area council chairmen shying away from their responsibilities, especially when there are security challenges in their various domains.
This time around, we will not be happy where area council chairmen will abdicate their responsibility and travel out. We have gotten reports that council chairmen travel anytime, and then if anything happens, of course, they will not call anybody's name. They will call the FCT minister.
The emergency security meeting is a sequel to the recent kidnappings and other security challenges in the FCT. Onoze Yakubu, NTA News.
Similarly, President Bola Tinubu has met with security chiefs and other heads of security agencies on the security situation. Details of that report will come to you in subsequent bulletin. Now, security agencies have resolved to adopt a multifaceted approach involving the use of technology and collaboration between the personnel and communities along Kaduna-Abuja Highway for relevant intelligence reports to address the resurgence of security challenge on the highway. This took place during security meeting with Kaduna State Government and traditional rulers, including the Emir of Zazzau, Birnin Gwari, among others. Muhammad Umar Ajingi has the story.
The heads of security agencies and traditional rulers are arriving for the crucial meeting for an urgent collaboration to discuss strategies of addressing pressing security concerns in the state, particularly along Kaduna-Abuja Highway, to effectively stop the resurfacing security challenges.
There was security on the Kaduna-Abuja road for about 18 months until the sudden, unfortunate and disturbing attack and kidnapping. The recent occurrences on that axis clearly indicate the opening of a front on that route, and this points us strongly to the need for renewed focus and coordination.
The security agencies unanimously agreed that ending the problem requires proactive measures such as the use of technology, regular updates, and collaboration from all stakeholders for intelligence information sharing to stay ahead of the evolving threats, promising to intensify effort to deny the bandits any action on the highway again. In Kaduna, I am Muhammad Marajinki, NTA News.
There are growing concerns that heightened geopolitical tension could damage an already shaky global economy. This dominated discourse at the start of the annual gathering of the world's business and political elites in Davos, Switzerland. Chinese Premier, presidents of the European Commission, Ukrainian president and UN National Security Advisor are among high-profile speakers addressing delegates at the Swiss Town's Congress Center. Hamman Jabani reports that the official theme of Davos 2024 is rebuilding trust.
Political and business leaders from across the globe are in Switzerland for the annual meeting bordering on global risks and challenges. The Davos meeting taking place against the backdrop of conflicts that includes Israel-Hamas war, 3 potential flashpoints: Ukraine, the Middle East, and Taiwan threatens to overshadow the meeting of the World Economic Forum, aimed at rebuilding trust after the series of setbacks suffered by the past 4 years, including war, COVID-19, and the cost of living crisis. In his address, founder of the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab, warned that the risks of disinformation in a year that sees major elections across the world, and in the long term, it knows the danger of environmental collapse.
The annual meeting of the World Economic Forum is not a collective decision-making body, but its impact stems from the new insights gained through dialogue and interaction, and more importantly, from the commitments made by each participant to contribute more significantly in their respective areas of responsibility to solving our most pressing issues.
European President told the delegates that Ukraine's allies must guarantee stable support for Kiev amid questions over future support from the United States and EU, while Europe needs to improve in the field of artificial intelligence. In his address, Chinese Premier Li Qiang condemned green and technological trade barriers. He said looming climate and environmental risks are the biggest threat, as well as loss of biodiversity and increased competition for natural resources. Other world leaders across business, government, and broader society are expected to address the delegates. Hamman Jabani, NTA News.
Now, 65% of chief economists polled by the World Economic Forum expect a moderate growth in sub-Saharan Africa this year, compared to 35% who anticipate a weak growth. The survey of chief economists from the public and private sector, conducted by WEF Center for the New Economy and Society and released to coincide with the beginning of Davos 2024, finds that 56% expect moderate inflation in sub-Saharan Africa this year, compared to 36% who anticipate high or very high inflation. Justin Bemunyi has details.
A report from the African Business indicates that in the Middle East and North Africa, growth expectations have slightly weakened, reflecting broader uncertainty about the trajectory of the Israel-Hamas war and its implications for the wider region. The report further showed that although 61% still foresee moderate or stronger growth in 2024, regional prospects remain clouded by weak oil demand and a sharp contraction in tourism. The expectations of economists for the world as a whole are more muted, with 56% of chief economists expecting the global economy to weaken over the next year, compared to 43% who expect unchanged or stronger conditions. The change in the outlook for Europe is particularly stark, with the share of respondents expecting weak or very weak growth almost doubling to 77% since September. In the US, the expectations are significantly weaker too, with 56% foreseeing moderate or higher growth in 2024 compared to 78% in the previous survey. Both economies confront tight lending conditions, a slowdown to manufacturing, and exposure to geopolitical rifts. The reports indicates that not all regions are expected to struggle in 2024. The outlook for South Asia and East Asia and Pacific remains positive and broadly unchanged compared to the last survey, with 93% and 86% expecting moderate or stronger growth for South Asia and East Asia and Pacific respectively. China is a notable exception, as weak consumption, lower industrial production, and distress in property markets weigh on the prospects of a stronger rebound in 2024. As the World Economic Forum gets underway in Davos, many of the world's most powerful business leaders, politicians and tech gurus, and even the odd veteran pop star have arrived in the Swiss Alps, hoping to set the agenda for the year ahead. Justin Bemunyi, NTA News.
The United States promises to sustain support for Ukraine, just as Secretary of State Antony Blinken meets with Rwandan President Kagame in Davos, Switzerland. Uche Ugochukwu has more.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, in a meeting with President Volodymyr Zelensky, says the U.S. has promised to sustain its support for Ukraine, despite a row in the U.S. Congress on approving new funding. This was as they met at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky made his first in-person appearance at the annual meeting of global elites in Davos on Tuesday, as he seeks to ensure that support from allies does not dwindle as the world's attention tilts to the Middle East amid fears of a spillover from the conflict in Gaza. Zelensky had addressed the World Economic Forum by video link in the previous editions of the annual meeting of global political and business leaders. In the meantime, Republicans in the U.S. Congress are blocking a renewal of U.S. military assistance for Ukraine, and Kyiv, its allies, worry about reduced support if Donald Trump wins the U.S. presidential election in November. European Union leaders will hold talks next month in a bid to approve a €50 billion aid package for Ukraine that was vetoed in December by Hungary. The United States Secretary of State also met with Rwandan President Paul Kagame in Davos, where he assured of U.S. commitment to doing everything to support efforts being made towards a peaceful resolution of the dispute in eastern DR Congo. Uche Ugochukwu, NTA News.
And former United States President Donald Trump cements status as a frontrunner of 2024 Republican presidential election nomination with landslide victory in the Iowa caucuses. Again, Uche Ugochukwu brings us the details.
Armed with the resolve to stop crude oil theft and increase production in line with the renewed Hope 2024 budget, the NMPC Limited.
Former U.S. President Donald Trump has hailed his landslide victory in the Iowa caucuses as very special after cementing his status as the clear frontrunner for the 2024 Republican presidential nomination.
The big night is going to be in November when we take back our country, and truly we do make our country great again. We're going to seal up the border, because right now we have an invasion.
They even called the election before people even
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who campaigned relentlessly in the state, edged out former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley to take a distant second place. The race is now moving to New Hampshire, where Haley started campaigning ahead of the state's primary next Tuesday. Haley said she will only join the next debate if Trump attends, but so far the former president has not been attending the nomination debates. Before he heads to New Hampshire, Trump arrived at court in New York City for his civil defamation trial against the writer E. Jean Carroll. Meanwhile, biotech entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy has dropped out of the race and endorsed Trump. He had caused a stir in early debates but failed to gain traction. Whoever wins the Republican nomination will face a Democrat, predictedly Joe Biden, in the November presidential election. Uche Ugochukwu, NTA News.
We apologize for the mix-up at the beginning of that report. You're watching the news on NTA International. Time now for a break. Do stay tuned. You're welcome back. The Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, and Group Chief Executive Officer of NNPC Limited, Mele Kyari, have inspected a vessel loaded with stolen condensates at Operosa Baramatu Kingdom in Warri South area of Delta State. The defense chief reiterates that crude oil theft is an act of criminality that must be stopped immediately. Lydia Sampson reports.
Armed with the resolve to stop crude oil theft and increase production in line with the renewed Hope 2024 budget, the NNPC Limited, in collaboration with Tantita Security Services Limited and security agencies, have sustained the onslaught on crude oil theft across the gamut and value chains. Looking through the helicopter window, perhaps calculating how the entire landmass of the Delta can be combed to win the fight, GCU Mele Kyari appears set for the task ahead. Finally, at Operosa Baramatu Kingdom, the boat ride may be indicative of the multifaceted challenges ahead. The Group Chief Executive Officer and his team inspected the vessel on which 23 suspects were apprehended with 200,000 liters of condensate intercepted offshore Bayelsa State. The collaboration with top armed forces leadership brought the Chief of Defense Staff to the side, and he did not mince words in reeling out military warning.
It's a high-powered delegation, all the way as directed by the Commander-in-Chief. We're here based on the report of the arrest of this ship that we're on, and I think it's a major achievement. It shows that we're committed in ensuring that we stop this criminality within the maritime environment.
He reiterates that fighting crude oil theft is one fight the federal government is determined to win. Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
The federal government is fulfilling its mandate of electrifying rural communities in the country. One of such communities, Adafila in Orire local government area of Oyo State, got a 90 kilowatts peak KWP solar hybrid mini-grid, which was inaugurated by the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu. Lukman Hassan has the details.
Adafila, an agrarian community, for the first time has joined other parts of the country in enjoying a 24-hour uninterrupted power supply to the community via the use of solar hybrid mini-grid. Inaugurating the 90 kilowatt solar hybrid alongside the managing director of Rural Electrification Agency, the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, noted that as a critical sector in developing the nation's economy, President Bola Tinubu will continue to ensure that electricity supply is stabilized in the country.
Not only that it lights up the household, it also helps their businesses. It empowers them. Small businesses, organizers, hairdressers, barbers, they now have access to electricity, and through this, they are empowered to generate revenue.
Members of the benefiting community explained that the mini hybrid supplies electricity to them 24 hours, therefore improving their socio-economic status.
It's been a long time that we have been cropping for light, so nobody remember us, but they brought this one out. We thank God. We are really enjoying it.
This solar is cheaper to use than generator, and I use it for my sachet water business.
The hybrid solar mini grid, which is part of the Nigerian electrification project in collaboration with private and foreign partners, is to ensure that energy poverty becomes history in Nigeria. In Ibadan, Lukman Hassan, NTA News.
We move to the judiciary, where the Supreme Court has reserved judgments in an appeal filed by PDP's David Obugadu, challenging the victory of Governor Abdullahi Sule of Nasarawa State on the conduct of the 2023 governorship election. This was after all parties in the appeal adopted their briefs of arguments. Olabode Arewa reports that the Apex Court also entertained Aminu Bandi's appeal against the victory of Governor Nasir Idris of Kebbi State.
Following the judgment by the Court of Appeal Abuja awarding the Nasarawa State governorship election victory to Governor Abdullahi Sule of the All Progressives Congress, his main challenger, David Mbugadu of the People's Democratic Party, approached the Supreme Court seeking to overturn the verdict. He outlined several grounds for his appeal, including claims that he was leading during the March 18, 2023 Nasarawa governorship election before the results were allegedly tampered with to ensure that Governor Sule got the victory. INEC, Governor Abdullahi Sule, and the APC, who are the respondents in their defense, prayed the Supreme Court to dismiss David Mbugadu's appeal for lacking a merit, as he did not support his claims with credible evidence. The five-man panel of justices, led by Justice Kudeyat Kekereekun, after hearing their parties and deliberations, reserved the judgment to a future date. David Mbugadu is building on his success at the Nasarawa State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal, where the court had declared him the winner of the election.
We have urged the court to restore the judgment of the trial tribunal.
Meanwhile, the court also reserved judgment in Aminu Bandi's appeal, challenging Governor Nasir Idris' victory at the trial and appeal courts. In his initial petition, Aminu Bande alleged that Governor Idris was not qualified to participate in the Kebbi State governorship election, that his deputy, Abubakar Tafida, allegedly used a fake school certificate to contest in the election, and that the election was marred by election irregularities. However, Governor Nasir Idris, in his defense as respondent, averred that he was duly sponsored by the APC to participate in the election. The deputy governor, Abubakar Tafida, who is the third respondent, also tendered evidence that he claimed showed that he was issued with a school certificate in 1982.
Our expectation is that the court will affirm the concurrent findings of both the tribunal and the Court of Appeal.
The entire election should be nullified.
The case has also been adjourned to a later date. From the Supreme Court, Olabode Arewa, NTA News.
Justice Abdullahi Mikailu of the Niger State High Court 2 has granted the application of the state government to discontinue the case of alleged criminal conspiracy, breach of trust and conversion of money to the tune of more than 3 billion naira belonging to the state against Umar Mohammed Nasco. Mukhtar will report that it happened a few hours after the state government took over the prosecution of the case from the EFCC. Details of that report will come to you in our subsequent bulletin. Now, Nigerians have been urged to show love and care to families of fallen heroes and also support the armed forces in their quest in tackling the emerging security challenges. This resonated at a musical concert organized by Heroes and Legends as part of activities marking this year's 2024 Armed Forces Remembrance Day. Usman Zubairu has more.
The Armed Forces Remembrance Day is celebrated every January 15 to honor troops who die in the cause of defending the country. The day holds great significance as it gives Army personnel the opportunity to reflect on their commitment, bravery and sacrifice of fallen heroes in defending the nation's territorial integrity. These musicians and entertainers converge here with the sole aim of paying tribute to the fallen heroes through this musical concert. The event also featured the launch of the first ever soul hip-hop music album dedicated for fallen heroes, serving soldiers and troops in the front line.
Create an awareness through entertainment and music for our heroes. We want them to be celebrated, we want them to be loved, we want them to be appreciated for their selfless service to humanity. Because I tell you, I being in the midst of them, I understand their pain. I see what they go through.
To aim at generating funds to support families of fallen heroes and wounded soldiers. In Abuja, Usman Bell, NTA News.
Inaccurate and inaccessible data are said to hamper advancements in cancer control in Nigeria. To address this challenge, the National Institute for Cancer Research and Treatment organized a dialogue with partners on the effectiveness of cancer registration in Nigeria. Uche Ugochukwu tells us more.
Nigeria, through the Institute for Cancer Research and Treatment, has shown dedication to a comprehensive and coordinated approach in the fight against cancer, which culminated in the launch of the National Cancer Control Plan 2023-2027. This is in the face of the challenges of credible and accurate data on cancer incidence, morbidity, mortality, and survival rates.
The activities of cancer registry in the country has been dormant, and it was actually characterized by a kind of neglect, lack of facilities, funding to actually get the necessary equipment that are required for effective cancer registry, for data management, and lack of provision for human resource development in the area of cancer registration.
This meeting is therefore geared towards enhancing data quality and availability in promoting effective cancer control, research, prevention, and treatment.
The registration of cancer registries is an important part of cancer. So it's not just people get sick from cancer or are impacted by cancer. It's how many people have cancer in Nigeria. It's important for us to know what is the baseline, the incidence, the prevalence, that's how many people have it, and how many people live with it.
At the end of this experience and intelligence sharing gathering, effective strategies for cancer care are expected for implementation in Nigeria. Uche Ugochukwu, NTA News.
And those are the stories that made the news at this time on NTA International. Thank you for watching. I'm Lami Ali, and Courage Ogeriahi has been the sign language interpreter. Do have a good evening.